The power of belief. Change your mind, change your destiny. There comes a moment in every human life when the noise of the world becomes louder than the voice within. A moment when dreams begin to feel distant, when obstacles appear permanent, when disappointment disguises itself as reality. Most people stop there. Most people accept what they see. They accept the limits placed upon them by circumstance, by history, by the opinions of others, by fear. But every great achievement in human history began with a person who refused to accept appearance as truth. Before a skyscraper touches the clouds, it exists only in the imagination of one mind. Before a symphony moves millions, it exists as silence. Before a fortune is built, before a movement is born, before a nation is transformed, before a life changes forever, there is always one invisible force present at the beginning. Belief. Not wishful thinking. Not empty optimism. Belief. The kind of belief that burns so deeply within a person that reality eventually has no choice but to bend around it. Look carefully at the lives of extraordinary people and you will discover something remarkable. Their success did not begin when circumstances improved. Their success did not begin when money arrived. Their success did not begin when opportunity knocked on the door. Their success began the moment they believed in something that did not yet exist. The world called them dreamers. History called them visionaries. And destiny called them leaders. The greatest prison ever created was never made of steel bars. It was never guarded by walls or locks. The greatest prison is the belief that you cannot become more than you are today. Think about that. How many people spend decades carrying invisible chains? Chains forged from childhood failures. Chains forged from criticism. Chains forged from rejection. Chains forged from fear. They wake up each morning and consult the limitations they have accepted as truth. They ask their doubts for permission before they act. They ask their fears to define their future. Then they wonder why nothing changes. Your life cannot rise higher than the beliefs that govern your actions. A seed does not question whether it can become a tree. The sun does not ask permission to rise. The ocean does not seek approval before reaching the shore. Nature understands something many people forget. Growth is not optional. Expansion is not optional. Potential demands expression. And within you exists potential that is waiting for belief to awaken it. The tragedy of life is not that people aim too high and miss. The tragedy is that they aim too low and hit. Because the mind becomes whatever it repeatedly accepts. If you tell yourself you are weak long enough, weakness becomes familiar. If you tell yourself you are unlucky long enough, defeat becomes expected. If you tell yourself that greatness belongs to others, your own greatness remains asleep. Every thought is a seed. Every belief is a blueprint. Every vision is an instruction sent into the future. And the future is always listening. This is why the most powerful battlefield on earth is not a boardroom, not a courtroom, not a battlefield between nations. The most powerful battlefield is the human mind. Victory begins there. Defeat begins there. Fortunes begin there. Failures begin there. Destinies begin there. Long before Thomas Edison illuminated the world, he carried a vision nobody else could see. Thousands of failures stood between him and success. Thousands of reasons existed to quit. Yet his belief remained stronger than his circumstances. Most people interpret obstacles as signs to stop. Extraordinary people interpret obstacles as signs to continue. That difference changes everything. When Henry Ford envisioned an automobile for ordinary people, experts declared it impossible. When Walt Disney imagined worlds that existed only in imagination, critics laughed. When Abraham Lincoln faced repeated defeat, disappointment, and hardship, circumstances suggested surrender. Yet each of these individuals possessed a force greater than failure. Belief. Not belief because evidence existed. Belief despite the absence of evidence. That is where transformation begins. Because if you only believe what you can already see, you will never create anything new. The future belongs to those who can see beyond current reality. The future belongs to those who can hold a vision steady while the world shakes around them. The future belongs to those who understand that belief is not a reaction to success. Belief is the cause of success. Most people wait for confidence before they act. But confidence is born from action. Most people wait for certainty before they move. But certainty appears after movement. Most people wait for guarantees before they commit. But life offers no guarantees. The bridge between where you are and where you want to be is crossed by faith. Not blind faith. Faith in your ability to adapt. Faith in your capacity to learn. Faith in your willingness to persist. Faith that if you refuse to quit, possibilities will emerge that are invisible today. You do not need to see the entire staircase. You only need the courage to take the next step. And then the next. And then the next. Because destiny rarely arrives all at once. Destiny arrives disguised as daily decisions. The decision to rise early when comfort says sleep. The decision to continue when fatigue says stop. The decision to learn when ignorance feels easier. The decision to believe when doubt screams louder. These moments appear small, yet entire futures are hidden inside them. The world celebrates dramatic victories. But destiny is built through invisible disciplines. The champion is created when nobody is watching. The entrepreneur is created when nobody believes. The leader is created when nobody follows. The master is created when nobody applauds. What separates extraordinary lives from ordinary ones is not talent alone. It is the willingness to continue believing during seasons when evidence is scarce. There will be days when progress feels invisible. Days when effort appears unrewarded. Days when the distance between where you are and where you want to be feels impossibly large. Remember this. The bamboo tree spends years developing roots beneath the surface before visible growth appears. For years, nothing seems to happen. Then suddenly growth explodes. People call it sudden success. But the roots know the truth. The roots know what happened in silence. Your growth works the same way. Every lesson learned, every discipline practiced, every fear confronted, every sacrifice made, every promise kept to yourself. These are roots. And roots determine the strength of what eventually rises above the surface. Too many people abandon their dreams because they underestimate the power of invisible progress. They mistake silence for failure. They mistake delay for denial. They mistake difficulty for impossibility. Yet life often tests belief before delivering rewards. Not because the universe is cruel. Because greatness requires strength. And strength is developed through resistance. Steel becomes powerful through fire. Diamonds emerge through pressure. Character develops through challenge. Belief deepens through adversity. The storms you face today may be preparing you for opportunities you cannot yet imagine. Do not curse the struggle. Learn from it. Use it. Allow it to shape you. Because every challenge contains a hidden gift. Every obstacle contains a lesson. Every setback contains wisdom. And every difficulty contains the opportunity to become someone stronger than you were before. The question is never whether obstacles will appear. The question is who you become while overcoming them. Your destiny is not determined by what happens to you. Your destiny is determined by what happens within you. A person with a powerful mind can transform adversity into advantage. A person with a weak mind can transform opportunity into disappointment. The difference is belief. Belief influences perception. Perception influences decisions. Decisions influence actions. Actions influence outcomes. And outcomes create the life you experience. Change the belief. Change the perception. Change the actions. Change the destiny. Everything begins there. Inside the unseen kingdom of thought. That is where the revolution starts. Because the revolution that changes a life is never announced with trumpets. It begins quietly. A thought. A decision. A refusal. A moment when a human being looks at the conditions surrounding them and says, "This is not the end of my story." That moment changes everything. Not because the world immediately changes. Not because the obstacles disappear. Not because success suddenly arrives. But because the individual changes. And when the individual changes, reality begins to reorganize itself around a new identity. Most people spend their lives attempting to change results while keeping the same mindset. They want different outcomes while holding the same beliefs. They want greater success while entertaining the same doubts. They want abundance while constantly focusing on scarcity. They want confidence while feeding insecurity. They want victory while rehearsing defeat. Life does not work that way. You cannot plant weeds and expect roses. You cannot think limitation and create freedom. You cannot nourish fear and expect courage to flourish. The mind is fertile soil. Whatever you plant repeatedly will eventually grow. Every day you are planting something. Every conversation plants something. Every habit plants something. Every thought plants something. Every image you allow to dominate your imagination plants something. The question is simple. What are you planting? Because the future is being built right now. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Not someday. Right now. The person you become 5 years from now is being shaped by the thoughts you tolerate today. That is why guarding your mind is one of the most important responsibilities you will ever possess. There are voices everywhere competing for your attention. Voices telling you what is impossible. Voices predicting failure. Voices encouraging distraction. Voices selling fear. Voices celebrating mediocrity. Voices convincing people to shrink their dreams until they fit comfortably inside their limitations. But history has never been changed by people who listen to those voices. History changes because someone dares to hear a different voice. The voice of possibility. The voice of purpose. The voice that whispers, "You were made for more." That voice has been speaking to humanity since the beginning of time. It spoke to explorers who sailed beyond visible horizons. It spoke to inventors who imagined impossible machines. It spoke to visionaries who transformed entire industries. It spoke to leaders who changed nations. And it is speaking to you now. Not through noise. Not through fear. But through desire. Because desire is more than wanting something. Desire is evidence. Evidence that a greater version of yourself is trying to emerge. Think about that. The dreams that refuse to leave your mind are not accidents. The goals that continue calling your name are not random. The vision that keeps returning despite setbacks may be pointing toward the very reason you were placed here. Many people spend years running from their purpose because purpose demands responsibility. Purpose demands growth. Purpose demands courage. Purpose demands sacrifice. Purpose demands transformation. And transformation can be uncomfortable. Because every new level of life requires leaving an old version of yourself behind. You cannot become extraordinary while remaining who you were yesterday. Growth requires release. Release of limiting beliefs. Release of excuses. Release of old identities. Release of fears that once felt permanent. The caterpillar cannot become a butterfly while clinging to its previous form. Likewise, you cannot become who you are meant to be while clinging to the habits that keep you small. This is where many people hesitate. They want the rewards of transformation without the discomfort of change. They want new results without new disciplines. They want greatness without growth. Yet every meaningful achievement demands evolution. Every dream demands a price. Every success story contains sacrifice. Look at the life of Andrew Carnegie, a poor immigrant boy who arrived with little money and limited opportunity. The conditions around him did not predict greatness. The statistics did not predict greatness. The circumstances did not predict greatness. But belief did. Vision did. Persistence did. And eventually the world witnessed what happens when a determined mind refuses to accept ordinary limits. The same principle remains true today. Technology has changed. Industries have changed. Methods have changed. But human potential remains governed by the same eternal laws. What you repeatedly think becomes what you repeatedly do. What you repeatedly do becomes what you repeatedly experience. Your habits are creating your future. Not occasionally. Daily. Every sunrise delivers another opportunity to shape destiny. Most people waste that opportunity. They surrender their attention to distractions. They allow urgency to replace purpose. They spend hours consuming and minutes creating. They drift instead of directing. They react instead of leading. And then they wonder why progress feels slow. A ship without a destination can travel for years and arrive nowhere. A person without clarity can work hard and still remain lost. Clarity is power. When you know exactly what you want, decisions become easier. Distractions become weaker. Excuses become less convincing. Energy becomes focused. And focused energy changes lives. Sunlight warms. A laser cuts steel. The difference is concentration. The same principle applies to human potential. Scattered effort creates scattered results. Focused effort creates extraordinary outcomes. This is why vision matters. Vision gives direction to belief. Vision transforms dreams into targets. Vision converts hope into strategy. Without vision, effort becomes random. With vision, effort becomes powerful. Close your eyes and imagine the life you truly desire. Not the life others expect. Not the life society recommends. Not the life fear permits. The life your soul recognizes. See it clearly. Feel it deeply. Experience it mentally before it appears physically. Many people underestimate the power of visualization because they misunderstand it. Visualization is not fantasy. Visualization is preparation. Athletes use it. Leaders use it. Performers use it. Champions use it. The mind rehearses before reality performs. Every great creation appears twice. First in the imagination. Then in the physical world. The skyscraper is imagined before it is built. The invention is imagined before it is engineered. The masterpiece is imagined before it is painted. The future is imagined before it is lived. Your imagination is not merely entertainment. It is one of the most powerful creative forces available to you. Protect it. Feed it. Strengthen it. Use it intentionally. Because the images dominating your mind today are influencing the reality you experience tomorrow. This is why gratitude matters so deeply. Not because gratitude ignores problems, but because gratitude changes focus. And focus changes emotional energy. A person who constantly focuses on lack will experience life through scarcity. A person who focuses on possibility begins noticing opportunities. Gratitude trains the mind to recognize abundance. And abundance creates momentum. Even during difficult seasons, there is always something to appreciate. A lesson learned, a challenge survived, a skill developed, a relationship strengthened, a new day received. Gratitude transforms ordinary moments into fuel for extraordinary journeys. It reminds you that life is happening for you as much as it is happening around you. And when gratitude combines with belief, something remarkable occurs. Fear begins losing its authority. Because fear survives on imagined defeat. Belief survives on imagined possibility. One shrinks the future. The other expands it. One closes doors. The other opens them. One creates hesitation. The other inspires action. Never forget this. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. Every hero in history felt fear. Every leader felt uncertainty. Every innovator faced doubt. Every pioneer encountered risk. Yet they moved forward. Not because they were fearless. Because their vision was greater than their fear. Your future demands the same decision. Will you obey fear? Or will you obey purpose? Will you listen to limitation? Or will you listen to possibility? Will you shrink? Or will you rise? The answer determines more than the next few months. It determines the trajectory of your entire life. Because every destiny is built one decision at a time. One habit at a time. One act of courage at a time. One refusal to quit at a time. And over years, those seemingly small decisions compound into extraordinary outcomes. The world often mistakes success for luck. But success is usually the visible result of invisible consistency. The athlete trains when nobody watches. The entrepreneur studies when others sleep. The artist creates when inspiration is absent. The leader grows when comfort invites stagnation. Success is rarely dramatic in the beginning. It is repetitive. It is disciplined. It is often boring. Yet within those ordinary daily actions exists extraordinary power. Because greatness is not an event. Greatness is a process. And every process requires patience. The oak tree does not rush its growth. The river does not hurry toward the sea. Nature understands timing. Nature understands development. Nature understands that lasting strength requires time. You must learn the same lesson. Trust the process. Trust the work. Trust the growth occurring beneath the surface. Trust the person you are becoming. Because the greatest transformation is not what you achieve. The greatest transformation is who you become while pursuing it. And that person is stronger than you realize. Wiser than you realize. More capable than you realize. More resilient than you realize. More powerful than you realize. The evidence may not be visible yet. But neither was the oak when it existed only as a seed. Neither was the masterpiece when it existed only as an idea. Neither was the empire when it existed only as a vision. Everything begins unseen. Everything begins within. And the future waiting for you is already responding to the beliefs you choose today. Because there is a hidden law woven into the fabric of every remarkable life. The person you become is always greater than the circumstances you overcome. Read that again in the silence of your own mind. The person you become is always greater than the circumstances you overcome. Money can be lost and rebuilt. Opportunities can disappear and return. Positions can be taken away. Possessions can vanish. But the strength you develop, the wisdom you earn, the discipline you forge, and the